Hi, we are in spring and we are going to talk about our seaside. And that is not seaside at the seashore, no. Our seaside is our customer side, our front-facing side, right? The work that we do for our clients. And if you are not reaching your clients and building your business in an easy and organic way, it might be that you are not having the right message with the right product at the right time to the right people. So we need to break this down a little bit. And some people's businesses are not tied to any kind of demographic, right? It really is tied more to a problem. So the first thing you need to decide is what does your business solve? What problem do you solve for people? If you provide, for example, clothes to nursing moms who breastfeed their babies, it's very clear that your target market is women who are breastfeeding, right? So they have small children, they are probably between this age, and this is where they live, right? These are the things about their life that's very easy to discern. What if you sell local sports teams hitch cover for the back of a pickup truck, for example? You might be a teenager that thinks that's amazing, or you might be a grandmother whose grandson plays on that team, right? So it's not necessarily about gender, it's not about age, it's not about any of those kinds of typical demographics. You want to figure out who are the people who are interested in this. Well, they are sports lovers, right? So you would extrapolate different data from the demographic list. So I think our first step when we're understanding our clients is what solution do you bring to the table? How do you solve something? And then you get to decide, is it typical demographic information? Age, lifestyle choices, gender, socioeconomic status, like is that the market that you're looking for and you can find your people that way? Or do you solve a problem that really goes across many types of demographics and it really is more problem specific? So once we kind of break down a little bit of who uses your product, who wants your solution, we need to go to the next level of understanding. And we need to get clear on what problem are they willing to pay to solve. Because I can promise you, there are thousands of problems that people have and they don't want to pay to solve them. They are willing to put up with either the inconvenience or the unhappiness that comes with it because they don't want to solve the problem. They don't want to pay for a solution, right? So part of you knowing your business and your market is that, are they willing to pay for a solution? Is it either worth solving the pain or worth getting the pleasure to buy that solution, right? There are plenty of people who have very high tolerances for inconvenience and things like that, and they will not pay for things. And that's the way it is. So perhaps your business in that market will have a harder time. Then understanding what kind of market you can be in where people are willing to pay, right? And they can imagine what their life would be like with your solution, because your solution can paint a picture that actually changes them. And they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I lived without this. I don't know how I lived without this product. I need to have this product. No matter what, I want it and I will save up for it, right? Versus, I might really want it, but I'm not gonna pay for it. Or I don't really think that's gonna work for my life. You're not painting a picture that I can see for myself. And this is often a messaging issue, right? Where people cannot imagine what their life would be like with or without your product. They're just like, I don't see it, it's not for me, right? So your job then to communicate to your clients and your prospective clients is what their life could be like with this new thing, right? Imagine how easy it was for somebody, whoever came up with the old style coffee pots, to put a timer on it, right? They didn't have to work very hard. They all only had to say, imagine you're lying in bed. Instead of getting up on that cold, wintry morning to go into your kitchen and measure out the coffee and pour the water and wait for your coffee to come through the filter. All you had to do was set your clock and wake up to the aroma of a freshly brewed pot of coffee, because this new sparkly coffee maker has a timer, and you set the timer at night, you put the coffee ingredients together, and you let it do its job, and you wake up in the morning and your coffee is ready. That was a massive, great seller. People were buying coffee pots with timers like you couldn't believe. They were trampling each other in stores to get the coffee pots that had timers on it, because that was something that would change their life, right? That they could see what the value was in their life. And so how can you take that and put that in your business experience, where you can paint a picture so clear that they can imagine their life with your product, that they know what it's going to look like, right? So then all of a sudden they don't want to do without, because they've just seen in their mind's eye, oh my gosh, I know what my life could look like. I don't want to do without. I have to have that product. I need to have that service. I can't do without, right? Because the picture you painted was so real for them. So that's part of understanding your C side. When you understand what they value, it makes it easier to target your messaging. So do they value convenience or freedom? Do they value social status? Do they want to look better than their neighbor, feel better than their neighbor, drive a fancier car than their neighbor, right? Do they want better health? Do they want more wealth, right? If you're a tax advisor and you can say, I can guarantee we can protect more of your money and you pay less in taxes, or whatever promises people make, people who value money and wealth will be very interested in what you have to say, right? Because that is a driving motivation. That is something they value. If they value comfort and you are creating a blanket that wraps them in the fuzziest fabrics, right? And you sell that to them, they're like, all I want is to feel like I'm wrapped in a fluffy pair of socks. And so your blanket is like a fluffy pair of socks. Oh my gosh, if they value comfort, they can't live without your fluffy blanket, right? So when you tap into the customer's value, your messaging becomes very clear. So I want you to think about, in your business, what are some of the customer values you already know about? The people who have already bought from you, what are their values, right? What do they gravitate towards? What are the brands they buy? What are the solutions they pay for? If your target market is very clear that they will always have housekeeping in their house, they will always order their dinners to be delivered, you know their values are convenience and comfort, right? And making their life easy. So if you're going to come in with a business solution that's going to be hard and a lot of work and very messy, that person probably won't buy from you, because they want easy, they want comfortable, they want luxury, they want to be taken care of, right? So you need to come in with a like a done for you service. Oh, I understand you want this solution. I can do it for you. Here's my VIP package and I'll take care of everything. And they'll be like, I'll sign you the check, or I'll Venmo you the money, because that's what they value. So when you know your clients, go deeper than how old they are. Go deeper than where they live geographically. That's not enough anymore. Your clients are not going to just be the people who you think are where you want them to be geographically, or socioeconomically, or in gender, or in any of those things. One thing we need to consider when we're working with our clients is boundaries. Now, boundaries are sometimes a little bit scary for people, because they think, if I put a boundary down, my client is not going to want to work with me. If I don't do A, B, and C, they're going to find someone else. Maybe. Maybe they are. Do you want the kind of client who does that to you anyways, right? Do you want to be building the kind of business where people take advantage of you or take and try to squeeze every drop out of you without compensating you for your time or your expertise? That's your choice for sure. But I know that when we work with clients and people start to feel burnout and they go through their wellness, categories and they're like, oh my gosh, working with my clients is really hard. I feel totally taken advantage of. I feel like they just want to just take everything from me and they don't care that I'm tired or I'm stressed or anything. They just want their own needs met. That's a sign that you need some boundaries. So in this exercise, we're going to talk about boundaries in a time where you felt disempowered or wronged or even resentful in your business, right? Think of a time when that was happening for you. And we're going to create a new rule with clear expectations, a desired outcome, and natural and appropriate consequences for your clients not respecting that boundary. Now, it may be a client, but you know what? You can also use this for a supplier. You can also use this for a partner. You can also use this for a vendor. You can also use this in any business capacity because boundaries get crossed all over the place. In this instance, I'm going to give you an example about your client, but you can absolutely create a boundary in any work relationship and frankly, any personal relationship. So boundaries are that important. Here we have an example. Identify a situation in which you felt disempowered, wronged, or resentful. And the example is, my client received their completed project but haven't paid their bill yet. Ooh, this happens a lot. You would be surprised. So the rule now, the new rule to set the boundary is clients pay before work begins. Now you can decide if that is partial payment or full payment up front. It really depends on your business. If you are building a 6-month marketing campaign to launch a world tour for your book, paying up front might be a little bit tough, right? Because it is a very long commitment that you guys will be working together. So that might be that there are milestones along the way. But if you are selling something like, some graphics for the book launch and the person wants to put up some promo ads, that might be something you say you need to pay in full 100%. There is no partial payment on this work because the work is small and it's short term. So the rule is the client pays before work begins. The expectation is we do great work and we don't want to be blocked by payment issues. We don't want the payment problem to come in between us. And our expectation is that we deliver great work and payment happens before we start the work so that our work is uninterrupted. There's nothing worse than us creating time and space in our calendar, investing energy, and getting to a point where we're pushing for payment and the customer says, yeah, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm backing out. And you've invested time and money into creating their solution, right? So it really sets the foundation for that business transaction, that the payment happens and then the work begins. The outcome is then the payment is made and the work is completed, right? That's the outcome. You make your payment, I do your work. That is our transaction and it works for both of us. Now, the consequences of somebody not making their payment before work begins is that the project will not be started or the project will not be done on time because the payment wasn't made. And so when we start to think about even this very simple rule about payments and work, it has profound impacts. What if you worked for 10 hours? What if you took your client, if you were a real estate agent, to 17 open houses and have spent 5 weeks working with them and you have gone down the path and you didn't get a contract signed, right? Or you decided that you were going to do all of this work because you trusted the person, or they said they were good for it, or they were waiting for money from somewhere else to make a payment to you, and you said, okay, I'll just start anyways, and the deal falls through. you're left without payment, without contract, without compensation, and you've done your part. We don't want that. We don't want that boundary crossed. So I want you to think about a time in which your boundaries were crossed. And maybe they were soft boundaries, or maybe you didn't have a boundary at all. And think about what that looked like for you. When you had a boundary, either soft or a little bit flimsy, and someone took advantage of you, you felt really hurt and probably a bit betrayed, right? And we don't want that feeling. That is a winter feeling. That is not spring, and that is not summer. And frankly, it will be very hard for you to build a summer relationship with that client if they have not paid you for work before, right? You are going to be worried. You might not give them your best. You might hold back a little bit. They might not refer you because all of a sudden you're a little bit cold and distant, and it really disintegrates the relationship, right? And business is about relationships. Yes, it's about money for sure, but that is the exchange in the relationship, right? That is the energy exchange. You create something and solve a problem, and they give you money. That is the flow, right? And if there's a break in that flow because the boundaries weren't strong enough, then the relationship disintegrates. And so the flow then gets interrupted, and you might lose that client, right? And if they're a perpetual problem of making payments on time person, maybe that's okay. Maybe you're like, actually, you need to find someone else. I don't want this. But if you say, my new rule is that I receive payment up front, they then can decide, I really love your work. I'm willing to do that. Or that's not for me. We've never worked that way before. I don't want that. I'm going somewhere else. That's okay. That's okay. You have stated your boundary, and your boundary is there to protect you. And your boundary is there to make sure that your business brilliance is honored and respected. You came to your business with years of experience and lots of expertise. You don't want to just give it away and be uncompensated. It's different if you make a commitment to a nonprofit or a charity or a volunteer position, and you're like, I'm not going to get paid for this work, and I'm okay with that, right? But that's your choice. You entering into a payment relationship with someone and them not giving up, the money to be in their part of compliance, that's where a problem might arise. So think about boundaries in your business, and how can you institute some boundaries to better protect your energy, your time, and the investment that you make in your clients, because you want to be investing in the clients that respect you and pay you and take care of you and speak kindly to you and, help spread the word of your great work, right? Those are the kind of clients you want to work with. So let's nurture those relationships for sure. There are lots of things to consider when you're talking about your clients. And when we think about our C side, it really is all of the different levels of interactions we have with our clients. So it's online, it's offline, it's in person, it's over the phone, it's by mail, it's through advertising, it's through referrals and testimonials, it's on our website, it's through videos, right? We reach our clients in many ways. And so we want to just understand, are we putting out the message so the right people find us? Are we putting out the right message so the people who are willing to pay for the problem, for the solution, are coming to us, right? Because if we are just bringing a bunch of freebie hunters, we're not building a business, right? That's the wrong kind of business if you want to be building an actual business as an entrepreneur. So understanding what your clients will pay for is critical to your business success. And then showing up in your business brilliance, setting your boundaries, knowing how you want to be treated, takes it to the next level so that you have very clear instructions for your clients. This is how I work. This is how you get my very best, right? Because you want my very best and I want to give it to you. And this is how it happens, right? Here's a before we work together sheet where you give me all these details. Here is a midway checkup where we go over how everything is going so far. Here is a wrap up. Did everything meet your expectations, right? You have these check-ins along the way to stay connected to your clients, because you want to be connected. You want to give them the solution wrapped in your secret sauce, wrapped in your brilliance, wrapped in your kindness and your compassion and your wonderful self, because you want them to hire you again or refer you to other people so you can organically grow your business and solve solutions or solve problems for more people, right? That's business growth. That is word of mouth testimonials. That is organic reach. And that is amazing. So when we empower our clients to feel good about the transaction, they will spread the word to their friends and people in their networks. And that is just the power of great customer relations. So I hope this was helpful for you. Please take a few moments and really dive into what problems you solve and how you can help your clients get the best of you by setting proper, strong boundaries and really understanding that client relationship is at the core of your business. Because no matter what business we're in the people business, right? There is someone on the other side of that transaction. So understanding customer service and customer relations will go very far for your success. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.